Der Paus. Red Bull might not win their third race in a row, which would be their longest losing streak. Mercedes just matched what Ferrari did in 22 by winning 2 races back-to-back in Austria and Silverstone. It looks like the Red Bull team isn't sure if their car is good enough anymore. Now other teams like McLaren and Mercedes are getting much faster, and Ferrari says they'll fix the big problem they created in Spain. This could mean Red Bull is in big trouble before the Hungary race. 31. If this is true, where does that put them for the rest of the racing season? It's safe to say that exciting racing in Formula One is back. The first 5 races were so boring because Red Bull won everything easily. But those wins could still decide who wins the championships. Now it's clear that Red Bull is in trouble, and their RB20 car isn't working as well as the team wanted. Even though the team said they would bring upgrades to places like Spain and Silverstone, they admitted only tiny changes were made. 101. The big upgrade package would come to Hungary, where we'd see if they could fix the problem with their wobbly car and how it struggles on bumpy parts of the track. Helmut Marko was the first person to talk about how important these upgrades are. When he explained it more, the old Austrian man said everything has to be perfect for us to win. We can't make even one tiny mistake. In Silverstone, we were too slow on the medium tires, but thank God there will be an upgrade in Budapest, and we hope this will help us get faster again. 131. One thing is for sure, the upgrade must work because right now we're slower than McLaren, and if you look at Silverstone, we're also slower than Mercedes. It's really important to get the tires at the right temperature, but Red Bull isn't the fastest car right now and we have to fix that with the update. This is definitely scary news, Biad, because the RB20 hasn't had to deal with this much pressure in a long time. 203. To put it another way, the team didn't really feel any pressure to bring upgrades to their car because they've been winning so much in the past couple of years. For example, we've seen that Verstappen was so comfortable he could make an extra pit stop in the last laps just to get 1 extra point. Now the Dutch driver got completely destroyed on the medium tires in Silverstone and also in the rain, with other drivers catching up 6 seconds in just 3 to 4 laps. The scary sign can be traced back to Newey leaving the team. 233. While most people think it's because of the power fights inside Red Bull, the British genius has openly said he's worried about certain directions the team went without asking him first. The cooling system is one of these areas. Before he announced he was leaving Red Bull, Newey said he wasn't happy at all with the direction they were going. When talking about the situation, Adrian said that these parts will be changed either later this year or next year. 3 Titunshut. He thinks they're really important and can't be changed to a different direction just like that. But Hungary is a track with lots of slow corners, and here we should never forget Ferrari's advantage in downforce compared to other teams. Even though they're bringing a problem to the race, it seems like the SF24 thinks that not having long fast corners will help their car work better. And they'll be able to fight for race wins, making both championships exciting again. 330. This would be a huge problem for Red Bull, because as we saw in Silverstone, it's only Max who gets the points. Even though it was partly because of a bad strategy for Perez, it's still the Dutch driver who decides where Red Bull finishes in the race. If something bad happens to him, which could really happen if it didn't rain up God, then they don't have a second driver to count on, unlike any other top 4 team. This is something that Horner has talked about. 358. When talking about the biggest challenge for Red Bull in Hungary, the British man said it's going to be interesting to see how we do there. It could be hot. I think it will be the usual people who are fast right now. It's going to be an interesting place, and I'm sure it will be very, very close. When you're fighting for the win, every tiny thing matters. Mercedes were fast in Silverstone. They got pole position and both cars started at the front, and they did a good race with Lewis. 430. If we look back a bit, even though it was Verstappen who won the last 2 Hungarian races, It was Mercedes who got pole positions and podiums in 2022 and 2023, with tiny advantages over everyone else. No matter what, with the race speed that McLaren and Mercedes showed in Silverstone, Red Bull are definitely in trouble here. The one thing that could help them is how hot the track gets, because even though the tire wear has gotten much worse compared to the RB19, it still looks better than some teams in recent races. 501. Teams like Ferrari and Mercedes have more tire problems, but with McLaren, it looks like the Austrian team will have a serious problem, especially at the end of the race, where the MCL38 looks like amazing machinery when it's lighter and the tires are working at the perfect temperature. This is what gave Norris a real chance at another win in his career in Austria. And if it wasn't for the messed-up tactics in Silverstone, he would have stood on the highest step of the podium too. Good news for Red Bull is that they rarely mess up their strategy. 534. That's why Verstappen was able to extend his lead over Norris in the Drivers' Championship, even though he had one of his worst races ever since last year's Singapore race. On pure racing speed alone, the Dutch driver also expects lots of competition. While he doesn't agree that Red Bull can't find more speed from the car, it's clear that the team has hit a certain ceiling that got worse because Newey disagrees with the current cooling system of the car. 607. When talking about what he expects in Hungary, Verstappen said Hungary is an interesting track, and we're looking forward to racing there this week. The track is very narrow and twisty, and has a very tricky second part. It will also be quite a bit hotter this week too. Silverstone was a tricky race for us. Even though we made the right choices, we still have a lot to work on and get better at going into the second half of the season. There's no doubt that Verstappen will have to focus 120% in Hungary if he wants to win the race. 641. The competition behind him is really tough, and with Mercedes also bringing an upgrade package to Hungary and Spa, the Silver Arrows have suddenly joined the top three and could make things very interesting for the second half of the season, which has 8 races left. No matter what, Red Bull has already started looking at how their rivals are getting faster than them, which is never a good thing even though it happens all the time in this sport. In this case, it's the brake duct trick that McLaren has reportedly used in some previous races. 714. While Red Bull complained about it, it doesn't really seem like a real way to get more speed. McLaren closes the holes in the brake ducts during Saturday and Sunday's events, which is legal to be open during Friday's practice sessions. It still seems like they're one of, if not the fastest car on the grid. So this request to the FIA might not be the one that the Austrian team hoped for to slow down their rivals, who are marching with great speed toward knocking them down from the top spot. 748. With all this in mind, do you think that Red Bull will really struggle in Hungary, especially since Mercedes has trouble performing on tracks that are a bit hotter? Let us know in the comments below.